call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Before we get into regular business tonight, we as council have a little bit of an announcement to make. Well, first of all, welcome to our ugly Christmas sweater meeting, in case you're wondering. But tonight, this is our last council meeting for somebody around this table. And we wanted to recognize that individual. Kathy McFarland has been with the city since 2017, and she is retiring and moving on to new adventures at the end of this year. So Kathy keeps us all in line and helps us with our budget and does a great job of leading that finance department. So we're just incredibly grateful for all the time you put in and all the time you take with all of us to help us understand all of this world of finance. We wish you nothing but the best, and we'd just like you to come to the front here. We have a little something for you.
Oh, and thanks for the flowers. You can always use more flowers.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, everybody, we have two delegations here tonight, and our first delegation is Ria Zweep from, sorry, never mind. We're going to start over again, and I'm going to ask for a motion for the adoption of the minutes.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council and the organizational meeting of council, both held at City Hall on November 14th, 2022, be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, our first delegation is from 12th Street Southwest Sewer Backups, Ria Zweep. And if you just want to come to the podium, and even though I said it, state your name for the records, please.
Ria Zweep.
Great. And just so you know, as a delegation, you have 5 minutes. So we'll let you know when that's up, but
Okay.
the floor is yours.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for letting us speak this evening. Your worship, members of council, my name is Ria Zweep, and I am speaking to you on behalf of myself and the residents of homes on west side of 12th Street Southwest. As you may or may not be aware, on July 19th, 2022, between the hours of 5 and 6 a.m., we woke up to sewage flooding our basements. At the time of the incident, there were sewer line repairs being done on the corner of Saskatchewan Avenue and 12th Street Southwest. After seeing what was in our basements, we realized something must have happened with the sewer line and saw trucks and workers up and down the street, presumably attempting to fix whatever went wrong. A neighbor and I saw a worker lifting the manhole and asked if it was plugged. After telling him what we saw happening in our basements, he told us that the pumps where they were digging had quit working. Someone had to have known that there was an issue with the sewer line that our homes connect to, because on July 21st, 2 days after this happened, every mailbox on the west side of the street only received this property damage information pamphlet. And on that afternoon, on the day in question, Portage Restoration was knocking on doors, asking if we needed their help to clean up the mess we were left with. Any contractors that I myself asked to come in and give me quotes had already heard what happened on the west side of the street. Mrs. Gloria Owens drafted a letter on our behalf with the names of all the homes affected and sent it at the beginning of August to inform the city of the situation we found ourselves in at no fault of our own. She also contacted Director of Operations Jocelyn Lequy-Jobin sometime in September and was told that an inspector was out and looked in the hole where they were digging. But because it was approximately 2 months later, it was all cleaned up and there was nothing to see. And they didn't come to any of our homes to do an inspection. On August 10th, we received a letter from Canadian Claims Services. They were hired by Western Financial Group, who I understand is the city's insurer, to do an investigation into the claim. We heard nothing for weeks, and every time one of us called the number we were given to ask what was happening with the claim, we were told they were still investigating and they were rude and short with us. So then we just waited, and finally, after a long 4 months, we received a letter with their findings on November 9th, 2022. Needless to say, we do not agree with the reasons they gave for the conclusion that the city isn't responsible. 2 of their findings do not make any sense to us. The first one, that we had a heavy rainfall that night. Well, it rained in the whole city, not just on 12th Street Southwest, but yet our side of the street were the only ones affected. We have had plenty of heavy rainstorms in the past with no issue, and I understand that the sewer and water lines are 2 separate lines, so whether it rained or not has nothing to do with the sewer line. The second one, that no reports before this incident of any sewer problems were brought to the attention of the city. Well, of course, there was no report of a problem before this incident because they weren't digging before this, so there was no problem to report. This whole incident doesn't make any sense. No one can explain to us why all 12 homes on the same street and on the same side of the street had sewage flooding our basements, all on the same day and at the same time between 5 and 6 a.m. We deserve a much better answer to our questions than what we have been given. And as you can imagine, our damages are in the thousands of dollars, some more than others. What we are seeking is for someone to take responsibility, either the city and or EF Moon, to reimburse us for the cost each home incurred to clean up and repair our homes back to the way they were before all this happened. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Sweep. Does council have any questions or comments?
I just have a comment, Maria. First of all, I want to thank you for coming forward and being the voice from your street. I know that there was an independent investigation, and they were hired and reviewed, and the claims, but the result was determined that the city was not negligent nor liable. The purpose of the replacement was to prevent this from happening in our city, and so that's how important this project is. And the area was set by priority. So your area was a priority for risk. So your 12th Street, and I believe it was 11th Street. And unfortunately, there was an enormous amount of rainfall that occurred at the same time. So I'm very, very sorry to hear about those damages that were caused in your homes. And again, I want to thank you for coming. And that's the only comment I can make on it, that I feel for you, but that's how important this project is to prevent this from happening. And that's why we're doing why the city is replacing the sewers.
But the rainfall has nothing to do with
It was
the
just
sewer.
might have been a coincidence that they were working on that, but I can't say for sure. But I just want to acknowledge your group and the fact that I feel bad that happened, and just
Yeah,
it was
we
just,
feel bad
it's
too,
just a
but we're
comment.
also out thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sweep,
Yes.
I echo, I'm sorry that this happened to you. I know many of you personally. So all I can say is we're just going to put this with administration to gather some more information and get back to you. And can administration direct that directly to you
Yep, that's
as
fine.
the spokesperson for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what we'll do. Yeah, do we have we have your address?
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Great. We have a second delegation tonight. We have Emma Enns McIver from Fort La Prairie Museum with her annual report tonight. Yeah, I'm sorry, but the rules for delegation is that you have to be registered to ask a question, I'm afraid. So can Rhea do it? Can she? Rhea, it's just one question. Yeah. It's not even a question. It's if Rhea wants to present the question. Okay. Yeah. It just has to be quick. Or if you wanted to, you could email it. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we have Fort La Prairie Museum Annual Report next. If you could state your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Emma Enns McIver. I'll try to do this briefly. We're not going to, you all have the report, but I'll just talk about a few highlights. It's a nice way to just kind of connect you to the museum. And, oh, I could try, yeah. I have it in front of me as well, but that might be easier. Yeah, for those who don't know me, I acted as the interim director this year, and last month I took over as the executive director. All right, so I'm going to skip over a few things just so we have time to talk about some stuff. But our mandate remains the same. We strive to educate on history from mid-1700s to about 1950, the Portage and surrounding district. Our key services at the museum remain conservation of our over 5,000 objects in 25 heritage buildings, collections management and exhibition. Something I'm working on is to upgrade some of the software. Okay. Oh, sorry. Update some of the software because we're dealing with an outdated system now that can't be updated. So that's something that I'm working on. We're also dealing with many, many different years of how objects have been like cataloged and collected. So I'm trying to consolidate some of that. Of course, we keep focusing on outreach and special events, traveling exhibitions, and partnering with other nonprofits in the community. We're also a tourism bureau, so we're one of the first stops off the #1 highway, and the staff work hard to inform tourists and locals about what's happening in the community. We're an entity of the RM of Portage, and we have representatives from the city and the RM on our council. Our board has turned over quite a bit in the last year. Electing a new chairman, Ryan from the RM, Roy from the RM, Farron just joined us for our first meeting today, which was great. So we welcomed over 4,300 visitors this year, not including special events. A lot of organizations struggled over the pandemic, but for us it was kind of positive because it encouraged local tourism. So our numbers definitely went up this year as more people were exploring Manitoba. So operational funding, I just want to take the time to thank you for all the operational funding you provide the museum. It's you and the RM that allow us to keep going, supporting full-time wages and general upkeep. You may have noticed a slight change in the proposed budget for the following year. And part of my strategic planning going forward is to figure out where we're lacking as a museum and how we can do better. I sent out a letter to the city and the RM about our operating budget. And I'm just going to read part of it just to explain a little bit why I'm asking for an increase from the city and the RM. The last few years has been a transition phase for the museum. The priority has turned to proper collections management and policy, new events and programming initiatives to increase revenue and serve and engage the local community. Currently, I fulfill the following roles at the museum: administration, grant writing, staff hiring, training and supervising, collections care, groundskeeping, event planning and execution, budgeting, finding quotes, receiving invoices, receipts, operating costs, etc., exhibition planning, design, installation, overseeing capital projects such as a fort rebuilding, marketing, social media management, museum programming, and tour guiding. That's not to say it can't be done. It's done, but I would like to experiment with a second position in the coming years to help out during the heavy operation season, to help with staff management. So I guess tasks can be delegated differently, and one person isn't so strained. Yeah, we can answer any questions about that at the end. I just want to quickly finish some of the updates. We're almost done our fort project, which is really exciting. We're getting our final installments of the grants we received. Special project funding. We also received many grants this year, which we were able to hire summer students with. Some of these were for the fort project. Museum support program gave us $5,000. That's for traveling exhibitions, and some from the local community as well for special projects.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Emma.
Yeah.
Does council have any questions or comments?
I went out today
Councillor,
for the
yep.
meeting and it was very
Microphone, please your microphone, please. Councillor Nicole.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet with Emma and the board this morning, and it was a very insightful meeting, and some of the renovations that are going on and going forth are really looking good in terms of the fort. She's dealing with some concerns on one building that we had a good look at today, and moving forward, I see some really promising and her work is commendable in terms of grant applications and supervising of those staff and keeping that place looking phenomenal. Big challenges is she's been going through her Quonset, and that's an ongoing piece for her to get things organized, and some really remarkable future plans coming forward too that you'll see. So I just wanted to
Thanks.
supply that
Thank you.
comment.
Anyone else? Just a oh, sorry, Councillor
That's
Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Certainly, Ms. Emma Enns McIver, I really want to just, first of all, congratulate you for not only the intermediate role you took here, but obviously your move into the full-time role as well, and I think you'll be a definite asset to the organization. Sometimes I think we don't always realize what we have in our backyard. I've had the opportunity to spend some time out there, and it really is Canadian class museum. So I know appropriate councils will certainly discuss the budget deliberations in that situation, but I just wanted to congratulate you on the goals that you did reach in 2022. And I know you've got an aggressive goal plan here for 2023, and certainly want to wish you all the best on meeting those goals as well. So
Thank you.
thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll just reiterate that, Emma, I think you've done a great job, and I've had some discussions with you, and I know that you have big plans for the museum, and we do have a major asset here, and we know we're going to be a tourist destination in the country, not alone just the province. But I thought maybe I'd ask you, did you happen to have anything happening this upcoming weekend that you'd like to tell me about?
Well, it is all over social media, I hope. We're doing Yuletide again, or I'm doing Yuletide. Lights are up. We've had some help. So that'll be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, weather permitting. So 15th, 16th, 17th. It'll happen regardless. It just might be a little snowy, but yeah. So you can come out and see the lights, and we can chat then if anyone's.
Awesome.
So.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Yeah, the document I think was sent to you all. If you, it's like very long, but thanks for your time.
Thank you, Emma. Okay, we're going to move into public hearings. Our first public hearing is a request for variation for PC 63-22 Meehan Estates Phase 2 LTD 375 and 345 Oxford Common. I will first ask if anyone is present to speak in favor of the application. Anyone? One more time. Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Any letters to be read out? No. Is there anyone here to speak against the application? One more time. Against? Any letters to be read out? Excellent. Does council have any questions at this time? No. So then I need a motion to close the public hearing for variation PC 63-22.
Thank you.
Councilor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for PC 63-22 for Meehan Estates Phase 2 Limited, 375 and 345 Oxford Common now be closed.
It's moved by Councilor Meyer, seconded by Councilor Nichols. All those in favor? That is carried.
Okay, Council, in front of you, to the Planning and Economic Development Committee from Meehan Estates Phase 2 Limited. The issue is to allow for residential suites on the main floor of the building in the C2 Central Commercial Zone. As usual, we can approve the variation application or we can choose to deny it as well. So brief background of the Meehan Estates Phase 2 Limited. They're applying for a variation order, and this is to allow the opportunity to put residential suites on the main floor of a C2 or a building in a central commercial zone. There is a requirement that the applicants will need to amalgamate the properties before the construction begins. And of course, the applicant is trying to construct a 24-plex multi-family building. Council has approved similar requests. The minute references are there for your reference as well. And I also believe that there is a sketch of the area for your reference. The application has been circulated to various city departments. There have been no concerns, and then public notices have been sent out to all property owners within 100-meter radius. And as you can see, there's been no objections. So that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Meehan Estates Phase 2 Limited to allow for residential suites on the main floor of the building in a C2 Central Commercial Zone at the property known as 375 and 345 Oxford Common, which is legally described as lots 1 and 2, Plan 65578 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councilor Meyer, seconded by Councilor Nichols. Any questions or comments? Councilor Meyer?
I would just like to take a second and just speak in favor of the motion. I just want to point out to council, in the City of Portage la Prairie zoning bylaw, the Part 5 for commercial zones is that C2 or Central Commercial Zone is really classified as this zone provides for appropriate land in the central business area for a diversity of uses, including retail, business, social, cultural, residential, and institutional land uses. So it does fit within the development agreement as well. So it's something I'll certainly be in voting in favor of. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. We have a second public hearing tonight for conditional use of PC 65-22, City of Portage la Prairie, 2500 Park Drive. I was asked if anyone is present to speak in favor of the application. Is there any letters to be read out? I'll ask if anyone is here present to speak against the application. Any letters to be read out? Thank you. Does council have any questions at this time? I'll ask for a motion to close conditional use PC 65-22.
Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for conditional use PC 65-22 for the City of Portage la Prairie, 2500 Park Drive now be closed.
Moved by Councilor Meyer, seconded by Councilor Nichols. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, and council, once again, to the Planning and Economic Development Committee, this is a request for conditional use from the City of Portage la Prairie. There is a sketch there for your reference that shows the exact location of where this is, in addition to the Park Drive drawing, which gives you kind of a picture of the proposed daycare building and area as well. So the background, as we're already aware, is that the City of Portage la Prairie is applying for conditional use to allow a child care center in a C3 Avenue commercial zone. As I think we previously discussed, the City of Portage la Prairie and the RM are partnering with the province of Manitoba to build a new child care facility in our region, and this is going to create 74 new child care spaces. It is part of a $70 million capital funding already allowed by the Government of Canada and Manitoba for new child care facilities, and is going to create over 1,200 new regulated nonprofit child care spaces across the province, and we're fortunate enough to be one of them. Council has approved a similar request as follows. The reference minutes are there for your reference. The mail-outs were circulated to various neighbors with only one response coming back, and that was from CN. This is relatively normal in the situation in relationship to the tracks. So I won't go through the 4 conditions, but I do trust that as we move forward with this, that these conditions would be taken into consideration. The application was circulated to various city departments. As you can see, there's been no concerns. Public notices have been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius, and there's been no objections. So with that said, it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the conditional use application of the City of Portage la Prairie to allow for a child care center in a C3 Avenue commercial zone at the property Park Avenue, which is legally described as Lot 4, Block 5, Plan 1810 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Meyer, seconded by Councillor Massey. Any questions or comments? All those,
If I may make a comment, Your Worship, in this report, you see recommendations, encouragement from CN regarding certain conditions they asked the developer to take it. We are involved with the developer, obviously, with this childcare facility, and those concerns have been put forward to the contractor who is building it. They didn't seem to have any concerns with it. They're not part of the recommendation, although planning has indicated that they will put some of those conditions on their permit. So we will follow the same standards as any other developer in the community.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
I just have one quick comment. Just to bring council up to speed, again, what is a C3 commercial zone? The zone provides locations for commercial uses that are dependent upon high traffic volumes and access to appropriate transportation thoroughfares, and considers the impact of commercial uses under this zone on any adjoining residential uses. So you can see through the drawing, it has met those requirements and fits within the planning development agreement as well. So thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. Just one comment. I think it's nice to see that it seems like every council meeting we have, there's something to do with the new daycare on it. So it means it keeps moving forward, which is a great thing for our community. So I'm in favor of this. So all those in favor? That's carried. Okay, we're going to move into committees. First, we have Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. That is Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship, and council members. First item, you saw a preview of it last month. It's an update, an annual review and update of our city fees and charges. This review has been done by administration, and it's basically to break even, to try to be similar to other cities in Manitoba. So the fees being affected this evening in your package, of course, are the credit card payment, the solid waste and recycling fees, the vacant and derelict building fees. This one will be brought back as a bylaw to council. Cemetery fees, once again, once the province approves it, will be brought back to council, and same with the tax certificate. So these fees are being brought forward by administration. They are competitive with other municipalities, and I would recommend, administration recommends that, and I move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the 2023 fees and charges.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Porter. Any questions or comments from anyone? All those in favor? And that's carried. Still your floor?
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Next item, as well, you saw last month. This is our schedule for the 2023 council meeting dates. We have, administration has gone through the year, looked at when AMM is held, looked at our meetings once a month in July and August and statutory holidays, and have put forward a proposal for our meetings in 2023. I would therefore, administration recommends, and I would move that the council of the city of Portage la Prairie approve the council meeting dates for 2023 as presented.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments?
Good.
All those in favor? And that is carried. That all?
For this section, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Massey. Next up is City Planning and Economic Development Committee, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. The City Planning Economic Development Committee has nothing to report at this point in the agenda, but does have some new business later on down in the meeting.
Thank you. Community Services Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Worship. The Community Services Committee has nothing to report at this time in the meeting.
Thank you. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Waterworks Committee has nothing to report at this time of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
And Transportation Committee has nothing to report at this time either.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Yes, I have one topic this evening. It would be the acceptance of the 2023 emergency plan for the city of Portage la Prairie. To give you a little background, the Manitoba Emergency Measures Organization requires all municipalities to submit their municipal emergency response plan annually with a deadline of December 31. Administration has reviewed the city of Portage la Prairie's emergency plan and has made any revisions required, such as updating contact information. Once accepted by council, the internal version of the plan will be sent to EMO for their records, and the public version of the plan is attached to this agenda if you'd like to read it. The administration recommends, and I so move, that the council of the city of Portage la Prairie accept the 2023 emergency plan and authorize administration to send the plan and accompanying resolution to Emergency Measures Organization.
Thank you. That's moved by Councillor Doyle, seconded by Councillor Porter. Any questions or comments? Councillor Massey?
Not a question, Your Worship, but just a comment. I thank the administration for sending the report from the big storm in 2019. It was very helpful in understanding how the city did, and I really appreciated it. And I commend the city for, as a resident at that time, for what you did. So I'm glad to see this plan is going forward to EMO. This is really important in this day and age. So thanks to administration.
Thank you, Councillor Massey. I'd like to comment too that I know a lot of work goes into these emergency plans, so just thank you to Chief Bailey and him coordinating this with everyone. So we appreciate it, and we can sleep well at night knowing we have a good plan that we hopefully won't have to use. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. So we have some deferred business, which is the 2023-2020 to 2025 PCRC funding agreement under the Community Services. Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue is to authorize the city of Portage la Prairie to renew their agreement with the PCRC for a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025. The city currently has an agreement with the PCRC which expires on December 31st, 2022. PCRC is a nonprofit community development organization working within city limits to strengthen the well-being of Portage la Prairie by empowering citizens, enhancing neighborhoods, fostering community spirit, and building the capacity of community organizations. The highlights of the agreement are as follows. The city agrees to continue providing in-kind payroll services, provide a minimum cash contribution of $50,000 annually, which is an increase from the previous $35,000 annually to be reviewed every year of the agreement. Continue to collaborate with PCRC to community development and social issues which are of mutual concern as outlined in the agreement. The PCRC agrees to continue providing community development work as outlined in the agreement and set out in the PCRC community plan for social and community development. Continue administrating the graffiti removal program. Continue sharing information including meeting minutes and reports. Provide support for Indigenous community coordinator and Indigenous engagement activities of the city. The PCRC Executive Director and or delegate will attend council and committee of council meetings to support their chair of the Community Services Committee of Council and the city manager by providing from time to time reports and or research on various topics related to community development. The PCRC Executive Director and or delegate will meet with the city manager and appropriate department head periodically to discuss ongoing projects and issues. Meetings will take place at agreed upon times and locations. It is the administrative recommendation, and I so move, that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the agreement with the Portage la Prairie Community Revitalization Corporation for the 3-year period starting on January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2025, and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement on behalf of the City of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Espy, seconded by Councillor Doyle. Any questions or comments on this? Councillor Massey?
Just also want to another thank you, because as a new counselor, I always appreciate the tour and the briefing we got from Mary and her staff for the new counselors. It was excellent, and I learned a lot about your organization. So just wanted to thank you for you and your staff for welcoming us and putting us through that tour. It was very helpful.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer?
Thank you, Your Worship. I too just want to say the same thing. I also want to let council know I certainly support this motion. I do agree with the things that the city has agreed to provide within it. I have seen PCRC grow from small organization into what it is today, and we do know that there are a number of social issues that certainly affect our city and affect every citizen in the city. And I know that PCRC has done a good job tackling what has been within their mandate, and I certainly support their endeavor and continue to support their endeavor as we move forward. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. I'm the reason that this was deferred for so long, as Mary knows, and the reason is that I just felt it was really important that we as a council, when we were entering into this agreement, that you had a really good understanding of what you're entering into. And I think having the tour and meeting the staff at PCRC and hearing about what all they do, I think it makes it easy to enter into a multi-year agreement. Like, at least it's easy for me when you see what they do for our community. So I'm glad it's on the agenda today before the December 31st deadline. So all those in favor? Oh, sorry.
I think Councillor Doyle had a
Councillor
comment.
Doyle, sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to echo what you had said about the meeting. I was actually in attendance at that meeting prior to the election, and I really appreciate it being deferred to the new council because, and I'll echo what Councillor Massey said, the tour we had last week with Mary, it was excellent. We got to find out top to bottom, left to right, what everyone does in that building, where they are funded from, who's responsible for what role. And there wasn't a single person in that building that didn't have a passion for this community. So thank you for the tour, and thank you for deferring so we as a new council can learn exactly what's happening.
Excellent. Councillor Porter.
I just want to iterate what Councillor Doyle said. I was there as well, and learned a lot about the programs, the big programs they're going through, and the other thing is that every question I had, they answered. So, and it was very positive, and thank you so much.
Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would just like to echo everything that's been said around this table already, but as far as a return on investment, we have an amazing one when it comes to the PCRC, and Portage la Prairie is a better community because of them.
Agreed. Thank you, everybody. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, we're into some new business. Date for the 2023 tax sale, and that is Finance Legislative Property Committee, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue here is the council has to set a date for the 2023 annual tax sale date of real property for those that owe property taxes to our city. As your briefing note says, the administration is coming to council for approval of this year's tax sale date. The process was amended in 2020 to align with practices used by other municipalities to schedule the tax sale date on an annual basis. For outstanding property taxes for 2021, administration is recommending the tax sale date of Monday, September 18th, 2023. Administration is recommending, and I would so move, that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the 2023 tax sale date of September 18th, 23 for real property with 2021 property taxes outstanding.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Another item of new business, the first reading of bylaw 22-8744, Herman Pryor Center Building Reserve Fund. It's Financial, Legislative, and Property Committee again. Councillor Massey.
The election?
We'll go back
Oh.
to, can we do this one first and then go back? Or should we go back? Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go back to new business, 2022 you let me talk a long time before you do that. 2022 election summary report. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a very interesting report for those of us that just went through the election. It's for your information, and as you can see, the costs from the 2022 election was $27,353.72, of which the school division pays half of that. And you have some information about the polling place, advertising, voting officials, and so on. And that's there for your information, but I would turn it back to Your Worship if there are any questions.
Any questions from anybody?
Job.
I just would make a comment that probably all around us around this table are happy with the way it was ran, so thank you. Okay, now we'll move into new business with the first reading of bylaw 22-874, Herman Pryor Center Building Reserve Fund. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue here is to implement a new reserve for the Herman Pryor Center building reserve for the City of Portage la Prairie. In 2019, Portage la Prairie advised the Herman Pryor Center we'd be implementing a lease between the city and their organization for their facility. The rate is $2 per square foot, which is charged to all non-sports organizations in the city-owned properties. The city gave the organization 5 years to prepare and amend their operations in order to absorb this expenditure. The lease agreement and the monthly rental fee of $2,537.50 plus GST annualized was finalized, and the first payment in January of 2023, and the city has committed to crediting all rent payments to the Herman Pryor Center Building Reserve. And a lot of us on council, of course, some of us spend quite a bit of time there for different things, a very important facility that needs work from time to time. So what administration is recommending, and I would so move, that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the Herman Pryor Center Building Reserve Fund by giving bylaw number 22-8744 first reading.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments?
First reading.
All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The next reading will be at our January 9th meeting?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, we have another item of new business. First reading of bylaw 22-8745, Canada Community Building Reserve Fund. That's Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee again. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue here is to obtain approval for bylaw 22-8745, a bylaw to amend the name and purpose of bylaw 068317, the Gas Tax Reserve Fund, to the Canada Community Building Fund Reserve. Those of you maybe are aware, maybe this is an excellent program for municipalities. It gives monies to municipalities on a formula, and we are now just amending the name to conform with the federal government's change of name to the Canada Community Building Fund. So therefore, our administration is recommending, and I would move that bylaw number 22-8745, being a bylaw of the City of Portage la Prairie to amend bylaw 068317, the Gas Tax Reserve Fund, to bylaw 22-8745, the Canada Community Building Reserve Fund be given first reading tonight. I'll also move that.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, we have another item of new business, a first reading of bylaw 22-8746, Accessibility Reserve Fund, and again, Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. Maybe you and I should just keep meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
The issue here is to obtain approval for bylaw 228746, the bylaw to amend the name of bylaw 7185, the wheelchair access to City Hall Reserve Fund, to the Accessibility Reserve Fund. Again, this is a name change, more of an administrative matter, to conform with our policy of the accessibility policy. So just making the name of the reserve match our policy on accessibility. Administration recommends, and I would move, that the bylaw number 22-8746, being a bylaw of the City of Portage la Prairie to amend bylaw 7185, wheelchair access to City Hall Reserve Fund, to bylaw 22-8746, accessibility fund reserve, be given first reading. And I move that.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments? Just my comment is I think this is an excellent move because words do matter. So, all those in favor? That's carried. Okay, Councillor Massey, new business, 2022 October financial statements.
Thank you, Your Worship. The month of October financial statements are in your package for your review. This is for information, and I'll leave it to you. If you have any questions, I'll turn it back to our mayor.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions on the financial statements? Clear?
Good.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll move into another item of new business with Councillor Massey, the 2022 projects in progress.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue is to authorization to transfer specified 2022 operating funds to reserve accounts to fund projects in progress and to be completed in 2023. As you know, every year we have delays on projects due to weather, the vendors maybe not completing their projects in time, and so on. What we're looking for here is you have a number of transfers under the Utility Reserve Fund and from the General Fund Reserve. And the reason to do this is so that we can have these monies available in 2023 in our reserves dedicated to these projects. So I'm recommending, or administration's recommending, and I would move that Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the transfer of $697,600 from 2022 utility operating funding to the Utility Reserve Fund, $30,000 for the 2022 general operating funding to the General Fund Reserve, and $187,000 to the Policing Reserve to complete 2022 projects in progress in 2023. And I would move that.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments on this from anyone? No? All those in favor? And that is carried. One more. Interim operating and nope, sorry. New business. No, I'm right, sorry. Interim operating and capital budget, Councillor Massey.
Thank
Last
you.
one.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue here is to the authorization to expend funds in 2023 until such time as our 2023 financial plan is approved. Under the Section 163 of the Municipal Act, it states that a council may adopt an interim operating budget to have an effect only until the council adopts the operating budget for fiscal year. The requests for this are General Fund $13,100,000 and the Utility Fund $7,200,000. And in order to proceed with purchase of capital in advance of the approval of the 2023 financial plan, some of which are projects in process, from 2022, the 2023 interim budget request for capital purchases is $11.7 million for the general fund and $6.4 million for the utility fund. So basically, in a nutshell, there's a lot of wording there. We're asking for interim authority on our budget for next year until our final financial plan is approved. And this is allowed under the Municipal Act. So therefore, I would, administration recommends, and I would move that Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve the following 2023 interim budget: $13.1 million for operating and $11.7 million capital budgets for the general operating fund, and $7.2 million for operating and $6.4 million capital budgets for the utility operating fund.
Moved by Councillor Massey, seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments?
I'd operate.
All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship.
You're broken now. You're good to go. You're set.
Thank you.
Perfect. Excellent. So another item of new business, September, October, and November building reports from City Planning and Economic Development. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. And as the rest of council gets to know me, this is probably my favorite part of the entire year for council reports. And of course, it reports on our permits and the total number of dollars. So you will see for your records the September building report, September combined, October building report, October combined, November building report. But I'm going to draw your attention only to the November building report combined. As we're aware, the planning district is a regional aspect, and we're fortunate enough to have a credible relationship with the RM, and of course we look at these from a joint perspective. So the only thing I want to point out in regards to the November 22 combined totals, and I do go over the 2022 year-to-date in comparable to the 2021, and a real brief synopsis is that you will notice that permits are down, but that values are, of course, relatively stable year over year, so it's really nice to see that happening as well. You will see that multiple family residential values are down significantly, which may be, we've got a lot of those projects, of course, on the go as we speak, but it's certainly made up for in new commercial and industrial permits, and you'll see quite a significant change specifically in the industrial permits. So that's kind of the proof that gives you what's economically being developed within our region, and it is just incredible to see. So the other thing I just want to point out is that the RTMs, which a few years back, you wouldn't see an awful lot of action within that, and now you're starting to see it's like a cottage industry, and it shows that it's basically a burgeoning industry, and it remains stable year over year from that perspective. So previous year to date, 357 permits. This year, 271, but values are relatively the same with only about a $7 million negative balance. But I'm really excited to see what the year end December 31 is going to look like, and I know it'll certainly be a banner year. So with that said, I just want to take a minute and congratulate, of course, the planning district for the work and effort that goes into doing that. Of course, to our PRED department and the industrial, the investment group that spends countless hours working with a number of these developers and creating some of the economic aptitudes that we have, and appreciate the work and so on that they do. So unless there's any questions, that is my report, Your Worship.
Thank you. No questions? Okay, one last item of new business. We have the general service agreement with JQ Building for Child Care Facility, Community Services Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue, of course, as you said, is to approve entering into a general service agreement with JQ Built, Inc. At the regular meeting of Council on November the 14th, 2022, Council approved entering into a financial assistance agreement with the province of Manitoba, as well as a CCDC 14-2013 contract with Pretium Projects Limited for the new child care facility project. Another agreement requires approval, which is a general service agreement with JQ Built, Inc. JQ Built, Inc. was established by the board of John Q. Public, Inc. to develop a replicable process for facilitating the development of community infrastructure with local governments across Manitoba. On October 21st, 2022, John Q. Public, Inc. authorized JQ Built, Inc. to award a public RFP for the design and construction of 9 prefabricated hybrid daycare facilities in communities as identified by the province's Early Learning and Child Care Program. To reduce risk and ensure the project remains on time and on budget, JQ Built, Inc. has developed a full slate of support services and identified a team of experts to facilitate this process with local governments, which includes the services of the development/owner's representative and a quality supervisor or surveyor professional. JQ Built, Inc. has developed a general service agreement to provide full project and process management services related to the construction of the daycare facility with the accompanying Schedule A and a development fee structure of 7% of the construction costs. It is the recommendation, and I so move, that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve entering into a general service agreement with JQ Built Inc. at a charge of 7% of the construction costs for the full project and process management services, and that the mayor and city manager be authorized to sign said agreement.
Moved by Councillor Espy, seconded by Councillor Doyle. Any questions or comments? No? Again, another step in the right direction.
Amen.
All those in favor? And that's carried. We have no items of old business, so I will adjourn the meeting at 6:55 p.m. and we will move right into committee. As we know, committee is open to the public. We'll call committee to order at 6:55 p.m. And first on the agenda is Finance, Legislative, and Property Committee. Councillor Massey with a very exciting first item. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Your Worship. And this item is a briefing to council on the new hospital that's going to be built in Portage la Prairie, an exciting project. And I'm sorry, I didn't get the names of the people attending. Thank you. We have here to give us that update, Kyle McNair, Clinical Change Lead of Southern Health, and Karen Yanchicki, Director, Portage District Hospital. We welcome you here, Your Worship.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want us to turn it a little bit for you?
Oh, okay. All right. No, it's fine. It's totally fine. Thank you. My name's Kyle McNair, and I'm the clinical change lead for Southern Health, and Karen Yanchicki, the director of the hospital here. So we're very pleased to have an opportunity to give council, city council, an update on the construction plans for the hospital. I'll go through this in a pretty decent amount of detail about where the plans are at this point in time, and hopefully answer any questions that might arise about the project. So just starting off, this is just a bit of a rendering. We'll go through a number of the renderings of the facility as we're going through, but we'll start with site context. So I'll show an overhead of where this is on the map, but this is just the first of our overhead renderings of the facility, where you can see a bit of the size and the scale of the project as it's planned. So what you can see here is the large entryway area and roundabout area for drop-off and pickup of patients. Along the left and right and left, you'll see the parking lot areas, and then the two-story size of the hospital. And we'll get some overhead views and some more exacting views of the facility in the pictures to come. This is from the opposite side of here. So here you can see the Crescent Lake. You can see the highway running here. You can see this is where the other entranceway to the hospital is, and the staff parking areas. And then there will be a ring road around this facility to allow access from both the side of Crescent Road and also the current road that services the current hospital will also be an access point into this area. So here it is from a site context point of view. So for reference, here's the existing hospital on its property. And then here's the existing helipad that sits next to it. This is the existing access road to the hospital and existing staff parking areas. This the facility will mostly be accessed off of the River Road, River Road, not Crescent Road, so I'm saying the wrong word, Highway 240. There'll be two accesses to the point in the plan right now. The access right here for most of the of public access to the facility. This secondary access will be dedicated to EMS services. So as EMS services requires access to make sure the ambulance can efficiently access the facility without interacting with too much traffic or foot traffic. We're also planning for an access for pedestrian or bike traffic off of the main artery of active transportation that is along River Road or Highway 240. will access the facility over here. There's a number of aspects of this that are notable from an external amenities aspect of the facility. Right here, you can see a second floor balcony. This will be off of the palliative care unit, which I'll show you on the internal diagrams. Right here is a patio area that will be off of the cafeteria area. Also nice amenity spaces. There's some amenity spaces that will be right in this area, which is for the child and youth rehab unit that'll be in the hospital, so they'll be able to do some outdoor exercise and assessment activities. This section here is the shipping and receiving area, so the loading docks for the large trucks and material being dropped off in the facility. And then external to the staff locker areas, there'll also be some outdoor amenity spaces. So here's the main floor plan. It's quite detailed, and any aspect I can zoom in and show you a bit, but I'll walk you a little bit through the main floor of the facility. So this is the main entranceway to the facility. It will have a large open area, and we have some images of this, of the area in front. We're anticipating retail food services and a retail pharmacy services to this space. Immediately off the entryway area will be our meeting spaces and educational spaces. So this will include computer laboratory, because this will be a fully electronic building. So they'll be very important to have educational spaces with computers so that we can train staff on the electronic health record system. It will have a simulation lab for the medical resident, nursing, and healthcare aid training. So simulation lab with viewing areas and monitoring, and then other education and education rooms, breakout rooms for the services of the facility. On the left of the entranceway is the emergency department. So the emergency department will be serviced by a 3-bay ambulance garage. It'll have 19 individual treatment spaces, including 2 seclusion rooms for mental health care, quiet rooms for patients and family. It'll have a minor treatment area, so it allows for the diversion of patients that are for minor emergency needs versus the major activities. Also in the emergency department will be the 6-bed special care unit, so the higher medical unit will be located here. This will be the main patient care, inpatient or patient area care on the main floor. Most of the rest of the, or all the rest of the inpatient services will be on the second floor. So on the rest of the main floor, this is the diagnostics and lab wing, showing the CT scanner, fluoroscopy, X-ray, ultrasound units, and then the full lab of the facility. Also in this section is the outpatient rehab area. So this area is designed for most of our outpatient services. So it's on main floor access, it's on a secondary entrance. So it's efficient for moving people in and out of the facility without getting too much congestion around the main parking areas. So the outpatient rehab area, this is the outpatient ACC, so ambulatory care center area for post-op surgical care. This is the dialysis unit. This is the mental health services unit, and then there's cancer care at the very end of the unit. The rest of the services in this floor are, well, this is the cafeteria and the kitchen. The kitchen is being designed to service the inpatient units. It's being designed to service the cafeteria, and it's also being designed at a size that the kitchen can handle food services to both Lionsbury Manor and Douglas Campbell Lodge in the long run. So food services can be delivered out of this facility as their kitchens age and their infrastructure becomes doesn't allow it to continue services in there. Here is mechanical and electrical, so it's not detailed a great deal, but chillers, plants, generators, and things. This is shipping and receiving, so materials management, so storage of all the materials that will service the hospital. Then this is the patient or staff services, so the locker area, lounge area for the staff. And then all the rest of this is the laundry facilities. Also, laundry facilities are being built oversized for both the hospital, Lionsbury Manor, and Douglas Campbell Lodge in the long run. And actually, it's going to be planned to service Boundary Trails Health Center as well, because there is no laundry services at that facility. IT and maintenance will also have spaces along this section. Outside, this is more storage for the departments for maintenance departments, and also parking areas for our vehicles. Here's some renderings of the main entranceway. So left is the is the emergency entrance. To the right is the main entrance into the front area. So this is the front foyer area with the main hospital registration. On the right-hand side will be the retail food services, and the left will be the retail pharmacy services. And as you continue down, you make it into the cafeteria area. This is just a rendering of what the food services would look like. There's a main stairwell. I should have pointed that out. There's a main centerpiece stairwell in this design, right located here, that will allow staff, patients to move up to the central floor. This is an artistic rendering of what that stairwell could potentially look like. I should point out at this point that these are early drawings and renderings. I shouldn't say too early. They're quite a bit along the way, but they're early artist renderings. We know pretty much the floor plate. We know pretty much the size. There's still some internal workings to do in terms of both the site, like the roadway work and the spaces around the facility, but we're pretty complete in terms of how the footprint is, because we're getting into the process of setting piles and setting all those things. So we know kind of the massing of the facility at this point in time, and the high-level electrical and mechanical needs of the facility. But so it's preliminary, but it's getting quite far along in the design process. This is just an example of what some of the waiting areas will look like that are on that central or are along the outpatient areas. So quite open, a lot of glass, a lot of views out to the exterior for patients when they're waiting for services. This is an example of what a dialysis bay would potentially look like. So again, quite a bit of extensive glass looking out for patients, and then a modern feel of the facility in the outpatient areas. The second floor is essentially it's almost all patient beds, so and inpatient services. So here you have two 18-bed medicine wings, along with our larger 25-bed medicine wing, which 8 of these are shown as palliative care. 6 of these are shown as palliative care, and the rest of them are inpatients. The palliative care will be separated off with its separate lounge for patient care, and then these internal services are like clean supply room, medication rooms. They will service both the palliative wing and the rest of the medicine wing. I'll just go through the patient units. This is the rehab unit. So rehab is set up with this section. This is the surgical and obstetrics unit. So the obstetrics unit is embedded within the surgical unit, but it's very much designed to be a separate care space. So it's designed with doorways here and here, so that patients aren't entering the surgical unit to get to the labor. They would enter separately into the labor unit, and really it's just the back of house that will be located, that it will have connections between the surgical unit and the labor and delivery unit. From the patient-facing perspective, the care will be very much look and feel of its own isolated unit. This is the operating theaters, so it's being designed with 3 full operating theaters and 2 procedure, like endoscopy or outpatient procedure areas. So a total of 5 operating spaces. And these are the just the stretchers and the pre-op and post-operative care areas associated with this, with the ORs. And then this is the medical device for processing. So all the equipment needed to be cleaned and sterilized, and all the supplies that support the OR is all located right beside the OR for efficient delivery of services. And then the last piece is administration and the physician sleep areas for on-call physicians are located here. The inpatient rehab unit is located here, and then the inpatient pharmacy is located in this location, with both sterile, hazardous, and non-hazardous compounding to service both cancer care and inpatient services. The last unit is on the second floor is a indigenous or a cultural space designed with indigenous needs in mind, including air handling for smudging ceremonies, and also space for ceremonies and activities related to that. So a very nice space with great views of the area. This is just an example of what a hallway potentially would look like going into the medicine. They're incorporating seating spaces in open areas. This is an example of what one of the patient units, like the nursing unit, might look like. It's going to be have clear story windows to let natural light into the areas. Each patient room will be single rooms, no double rooms, no triple rooms, all single rooms with large windows. They'll be about 280 to 290 square feet each, with ceiling track lifts into each of the bathrooms. This is just a show of the layout of the rooms. Yeah, so each single patient bed, a sleeper bench for the family members, seating spaces, and then circulation spaces for wheelchair access and things like that. Private bathrooms, European showers, easy access for anyone to get in and out of those spaces. Just a few exterior views. That cultural space on the second floor and the access point will be sitting right over the entranceway into the outpatient areas. This is traveling into the main area of the hospital, that main circulation. There's been a number of engagement exercises that have occurred with the staff of the facility, physician leadership, and the foundation has been involved in all those aspects of this. From a schedule point of view, design development started in May of 2022, will be completed in January of 2023. We have a construction manager that was engaged PCL Construction in March of 2022. We have brought design assist partners, including Nortec Electrical and Westcan Mechanical, and they're helping PCL with the construction planning. The final budget was submitted to Treasury Board in October of 2022. The demolition of the existing buildings on AYC campus is scheduled to be completed in January of 2023, and construction work will commence in January 2023 with completion in July of 2025, and occupancy scheduled for October of 2025.
Thank you. That is, thank you very much for that. Very, very exciting for sure to see it, even if rendering, but to see what it's going to look like. We're just going to open the floor to questions if you're okay with that.
You bet.
Awesome. Councillor Doyle.
Did you say all the patient rooms are going to be single bedrooms?
All of them. Yep. SCU, yeah, like the, yes, all of them. All of them. Yeah. The labor.
Sorry, if you just don't mind coming up to the mic when you, just because we're recording you, Ms. Yanchicki, just so you know. Thank you.
The entire building is wheelchair accessible. Plus, we have bariatric built in throughout the facility. There's various bariatric capacity in every unit in every department.
Thank you.
The labor and delivery rooms will be still child in room. So it's not a separate nursery unit. It's a child in room type design.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, that
Councillor, Porter?
each one of those rooms will have a bathroom, correct?
Yep. Well, SCU,
Or
like specialty care unit will
Right.
have a common bathroom like your ICU, because commonly they're using a commode or,
right,
so the ICU bedrooms don't have a bathroom
Right.
attached to it. Yeah.
sorry, I just wanted to touch on that one. But your dialysis, how many patients can it hold at one time? I know they take about 4 hours.
So at present, we have 9 chairs. So in the new build, there will be 12. At present, we operate 6 days a week. Manitoba Renal Program has been involved since the beginning of the initial phase of the project. So the initial proposal was right from the beginning put together with site input, regional input, and programs, as well as provincial input. So Manitoba Renal Program was very active in that decision, and they looked at their numbers and what we needed, recognizing that now we have 3 days where we do 3 treatments a week, other days we do 2, and it's all driven by Manitoba Renal Program. And there's capacity with this new building in going 3 treatments 6 days. There's potential in futures of doing 24 hours as well. So, yeah, very much Manitoba Renal Program driven.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Any other, Councillor Massey?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for your presentation. As a new councillor, as a resident, I'm excited and just great to get this update. One of the things that's always puzzled me a little bit is the local contribution and the policy around that. I know it's a community contribution, and I'm not suggesting to get into what ours is here or anything. I'm just, what is I've heard different things for different municipalities over the years. Can you kind of give us a high-level view of what is the local contribution policy for the province?
Yeah, no, I can't.
Okay.
I guess we're the operations and design people.
Okay.
There's senior administration. So certainly Jane Curtis, or if there was a desire to have council and talk, like Scott Stephenson and Jane Curtis are kind of, that's the,
Okay.
we'll say it's a C-suite discussion.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I don't want to dodge a question. I certainly have been in meetings, but it's not.
No,
it's
that's
not
fair enough.
kind of our-
Thank you.
And I think it's still up for a lot of discussion, Councillor Massey, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Any, Councillor Nichols?
Sure, welcome, thank you. And that's a great overview of what you have there, Karen and Kyle. Who's your designer? Who's doing?
FT3 at A49 Architecture.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like the winged, that's great use of space. I think it's, the whole aesthetic of it is gonna serve very well there.
Yeah,
And I'm impressed.
it was interesting how we got, the design is driven. So when we talk
Yeah.
about those inpatient rooms, the entire thing is designed because of these rooms. They're so big. I mean they're so big and there's so many of them. I guess it's, you have to design all these units, kind of long runways. They call them racetracks. Hopefully they don't feel too much like racetracks, but that's they're a racetrack design. So all your central services are in the middle because all of your rooms have to have exterior views with these windows. So that's how it ends up getting set up.
And the bathrooms are all off that central service piece.
Yeah, and the bathrooms for each of the rooms?
Yeah,
The bathrooms for each of the rooms are set up such that they're kind of embedded here.
back to back, okay, good.
So,
Yep.
so that bathroom is for this room, and that bathroom is for this room. So it lets the ceiling track come around the corner.
Yeah.
And it also is designed for infection control in the sense it's the dirtiest area of the room, and it's closest to the exterior, so when they clean from cleanest to dirtiest.
Thank you, it's gonna look really good there. Appreciate that presentation.
Thank you. Councillor Espy?
First of all, thank you for coming in the presentation. I have a question and then a follow-up question, I think,
Sure.
that will come with this. In our community, accessing services is a challenge for a lot of people. So I guess my question is, what new services are being offered with this hospital?
Yeah, I mean, besides the growth of everything, there isn't specific, I guess. I would say your OR services are more than tripling, so there's more OR capacity in this. And then there's inpatient bed services, and your emerge department is being modified to meet better mental health services, because currently that's a lack of the ability in your emerge department.
Yes, the mental health services, definitely something that I can appreciate going into the new hospital. My follow-up question, though, is probably one you're anticipating at some point. Are there any plans to put an MRI machine in this hospital?
Yeah, this is, in the future, it is being designed, so this is the future DI wing and future lab expansion if required. And then what's shown here, actually, it isn't shown here. It's too light here, but I'll show maybe on another overhead view. There is the design of the layout of the facility is being designed with two wing potentials. So you see it points quite a bit out. So this road would extend out further for potential 2 additional wings to the facility. So it being designed in that way.
Thank you. Councillor Espy?
I don't mean to push, but
Yeah.
wouldn't it make a lot more sense to do that right now when that hospital is being built?
Well, are you talking about the MRI, or are we talking
The
about
MRI specifically.
It was a calculation based on the population needs and the services in the area. So the population of the area, I mean, when Boundary Trails put the MRI in, it had a catchment area of about 55,000. Now it's a catchment of about 65,000. It's just reaching its capacity right now. The catchment area for this facility is in the 30 to 35 range. So it's still, say, 15,000 below what the minimum was to get the justification. And then the other activity is orthopedic surgery. So orthopedic surgery doesn't happen at this facility. There's other things that happen at this facility that don't happen at others, like ENT surgery and cataract surgery. But there isn't orthopedic surgery, and they drive a lot of the volume. So
Yeah.
if we looked at it from the point of view of the full utilization of it, it would be extremely hard to justify in terms of filling up the demand or the capacity of an MRI.
I guess my only comment back to that would be that we can't just base these things on geography, because our community has some unique needs. And I myself, having enjoyed some of those services in the past, had to go as far as Selkirk to have it done. And I know that would be a very tough challenge for a lot of people in this community.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not, I mean, I would say unlimited budgets, unlimited those things, budgetary decisions have to be made. MRIs are extremely costly to operate. So the capital costs of constructions are dwarfed by the operational costs for MRIs specifically. So the problem, I mean, and again, I mean, Shared Health operates the diagnostic services, and Shared Health is part of this. We can certainly bring Shared Health in to have a conversation about this, but there was extensive conversations about MRI specifically services at the early stages of this development, and it was ruled out at a very early stage based on size. Like, because in terms of distances, like if I give you an example, like if like Dauphin does have an MRI, it has probably a slightly larger catchment area considering the northern areas that it also services, but it doesn't have like the 50 to 60,000, but its distance is substantially farther than what a Portage resident would be seeing to access services for an MRI services either through Winnipeg or Selkirk or Boundary Trails, where there's kind of three in the catchment area. I would like to say that there is some substantial work being done on low acuity transport services. So there's an RFP out right now for an expansion of the low acuity transport services that's going to help with the transportation of lower acuity patients. This isn't community dwelling patients, but this is hospital patients that are in the facility that need to be transported for a low acuity care like an MRI service and things like this. So it is being recognized from the point of view of we need to address transport as in a better way, but it's.
Thank you.
Ryan, just to add, we don't have a new service, but we do have a bit of a different new service in this building. We don't truly have an ambulatory care unit in our present facility. This hospital does have a designated ambulatory care unit, and it's a smart ambulatory care unit. It pulls people from who would have originally had their first antibiotic right into this area. They would have first had it maybe in the emergency room department and then maybe gone to the home care treatment clinic for the rest of their infusions. They would have it here. They could have blood here. We have a cast removal room. They could go in and have their cast removed here rather than being in an emergency room department. ENT rooms were set up for ENT post-surgery in that room. So it's really about putting the right patient in the right place. We have a massive ER. We have a massive ER for very specific reasons. We have high comorbidities, so we have a very complicated community that has lots of various needs, and this building will meet the needs of, and it's not just built on a whim, it's built on needs and assessments for the community, that's for sure. So the ambulatory care is kind of a silent, it's a new thing, and it's really good for patient flow within a facility as well. So.
Councillor Espy.
I appreciate you letting me ask you all these questions, but I would actually like to invite somebody else to speak briefly if I could, and that would be Mary Lawrence from the PCRC.
Hi, I actually have two questions. So my first one would be about your low acuity transportation. Will that include mental health patients who need to go to other facilities within the region or outside of the region, and also addictions patients?
Sorry, it's a low acuity transport from a hospital setting. So anything that is deemed low acuity could go on this transport service, but it would be an assessment of the case. So certain mental health cases, yes. Certain mental health cases wouldn't be considered low acuity if there's any risk to the person or things like this. That would still have to be done by ambulance. But there isn't any diagnostic limitations, just risk. Yeah.
Right, I'm just curious because I know we face barriers getting people to Steinbach, like the crisis stabilization unit, and Winkler is also an issue. And my second question is around staffing. So I know that you've mentioned that you're expanding all of the current units. So do you have a current recruitment plan for the hospital?
Yeah, I mean, we're not great on staffing by any stretch of the imagination right now, but we are at the low point of this structure, right? Everybody who can retire, by and large, has retired. Vast majorities of swaths of our population have retired, and that is in association with the other impacts of COVID has pretty much put us as a healthcare system in amongst the lowest points in this. So there's a number of strategies that have been put into place, more nursing units positions. They're changing the way that we allow international graduates in both nursing and other allied health professions licensed in the province. So, licensed in the country and licensed in the province based on this. And then it's the overall increase in spots. So with this construction project not opening until 2025, this is the right amount of runway to see these issues rectified. I mean, do I guarantee that it will be? No, but I mean, everything that we're pointing to now looks as though it's going to help bring the system in line with what the needs will be of this facility when it comes to opening. So all the nursing spots that were announced obviously didn't affect this year, but they're going to start graduating them in 2023 and 2024, and they'll be in full operation in 2025. So that's what we're going to be relying on. So, and recruiting to a facility that isn't opening, so there's not a recruitment specifically of these things. We are talking about what staffing will need for the bridge of this services. It's going to be complicated to open this facility because of the size difference. It's a 33% increase in bed count and things like this. So it's not like we can wait till day one to start the recruitment, but we can't start now. It'll be a 2023, late 2023, early 2024 exercise.
Thank you. Did you have any
No, she asked my question. That's perfect.
I have a couple.
Sure.
Of course, yeah. I'm just curious, when you talked about the operating room, how many do we have now?
So we have 2 operating rooms right now. We run at 1.5 slate, so we operate with 1.5 OR right now. So that's a significant change.
Yeah. And wouldn't it be a change in the obstetrics? Like, is that not, yeah.
Yeah, we go from 3 labor and delivery rooms up to 6, and this is a special, this is a proper obstetrical unit that we've made here with an obstetrical triage assessment, so that just they have everything that they should have in a proper obstetrical unit. Yeah, all
With the hope of
around them.
all the specialized staffing at some point, hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, we've started conversations already about starting recruiting obstetricians and gynecologists to this site in Steinbach for whatever reason, and I cannot speak to why we don't have it, like why they haven't come about naturally, but we're pushing for the 3 large facilities in our region that don't have obs-gyne services to have them within the timeframes of this construction project.
Yep, great. Just a comment on I love the transport service that you're working on because I deal with it in my daily life. So that's great, and I think it'll be a big help, especially for diagnostic things. What's the plan for the old hospital?
I mean, the plan on books is for demolition.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
There has been some, there's a number of pieces that there's some advantages to, let's say, there's advantages for.
Kyle, can you just use the mic there?
Sorry, there's advantages if we were to demolish the facility, we would expand our ability to come to the helipad from this direction or that direction. So right now we only have a single entry point, which has some challenges if there's a wind going this way.
Our flight path.
So we'd be able to double the flight path. I guess we also have some issues with the fact that the regional services that are currently in the clinic, they've given us notice that they want us out of the clinic. So we have this group of staff that are going to be, that we want to have in a community accessible space, but they aren't going to be in the clinic. We have the RAM clinic, we have a number of other pieces. So there is that it isn't a facility, it's not in the best facility. So space is something that is in consideration. So there has been some looks at whether or not we could preserve some aspects of the building for services, but it is being demolished for a reason. Sorry, we're building a new hospital for a reason.
Yeah.
The HVAC systems, the heating systems, the underlying infrastructure is very old. So even if we were able to keep a bones of the existing hospital for something, we would essentially have to replace all of the heating, all of the cooling, all of this, and then it might not be worth it.
So I just want to be clear that we have standards we have to obtain in order to stay open and provide safe care. And so that's a huge struggle. And that is that's what we'll be maintaining until we move into the new hospital. So we have to make decisions that maybe don't make 100% sense when we have a new place to move into, but in order to operate for safe patient care, we do what we have to do.
Through your worship, I just wanted to add some additional context to Councillor Massey's earlier question regarding the community contribution for the public's benefit. The community contribution is the amount that the community contributes to help build the hospital, and that policy has been on the books, I think, since the 1990s. And there has been some discussion with Shared Health and also Southern Health, and we were informed, and Council will be receiving more information from Southern Health shortly on what the expectations are to start the discussion regarding the community contribution. So Council will see more information on that shortly, and I'm sure will be part of future budget discussions.
Thank you. I want to thank you for presenting to us tonight. We're very excited to see this. It hasn't been that long coming in the scheme of things, I guess, from when the announcement was. Just nice to see some of the choices that have been made when it comes to looking at some cultural elements for sure, and looking at definite dignity when it comes to things like your dialysis unit, your cancer unit, the way it's laid out. So I'm really happy to see that. So good job for all of you involved, and thank you for coming out, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
For having us.
Perfect.
Okay, we're going to move on to City Planning and Economic Development Committee. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. You can see on committee there that next council meeting I'll be bringing forth a proposal or report to council in regards to a proposal to subdivide a part of RL 66, which I'll get into briefly here. You will see that there's a proposed subdivision site map for your reference. You'll also see a copy of the subdivision application and a plan of the subdivision itself. So in a nutshell, the candidate, which in this case is Paramount Investment Corp., all they're wishing to do is propose to subdivide 1,697.9 square feet from part of their property owned by DIDEL Inc. and then consolidate it into another part. The adjacent property owned by Paramount Investment Corporation. So we'll be bringing that forward. It's there for your information. I do want to point out it does fit within the development plan, which we have classified as the downtown corridor, and it does comply with that development plan policy. So I won't get into those at this point in time, but it will be conforms to, of course, as I said, it conforms to the development plan policy. Zoning bylaw number 218724 or C2 Central Commercial Zone. You can see what the requirements are there for them to do that subdivision. So there are a number of comments that do follow most of these requests from Manitoba Hydro, from MIT, and of course from the Land Titles Office as well. So at this point in time, things can change, but all other departments, agencies did have no comments or concerns. And Community Regional Planning also recommended the approval of the subdivision at this point. So we'll be bringing that forward to next council meeting in January. So unless there's any questions?
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
There's in the map, I'm just curious, where it says the proposed lots are accessed from Saskatchewan Avenue East and Howe Avenue. When it says it's from Saskatchewan Avenue, does that mean if you can get in from the front of the building, that's an access?
I'm going to have to defer that to our city manager, to our planning district, which I'm not sure is here tonight. So,
And if I don't have the answer tonight, that's fine too.
Your worship, I'm not entirely sure what it means in terms of access from Saskatchewan Avenue, if it could be just literally access in terms of the front door, but I can get more information when this comes to council.
Okay, and then my second question is I didn't quite see maybe what the purpose of this was for, why they were doing this?
I can speak to that, Your Worship. So if we're looking at the map on River Lot 66, there is a red square that's being consolidated with what's labeled CT 3159742. And the intention of the property owner is to have that parcel included in that lot so it can be used for parking. So if you were to sell those two separate lots now, the one would take that and the red square. But if you do the subdivision and then sell those two separate lots, the one owner would also have parking behind their building, which they wouldn't if they didn't do the subdivision. But I can also ask that some of that additional information is included in the report when it comes to council for decision.
Thank you. Anyone else, any questions?
And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Councillor Meyer. Okay, Community Services Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Community Services Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. Waterworks Committee, Councillor Nichols.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Friesen on a tour which I took with her, and Your Worship was with me as well, and it was very informative, and it's very evident that your pride in your operations shines through. Staff were wonderful, and I very much enjoyed that tour, so thank you. And I know that there's other new councillors that would like to get a look at it as well, so once things, maybe January, February, we'll call upon you again. But thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nichols. I'm just going to skip back to Community Services Committee because Councillor Espy.
I have a feeling I know what you're going to say. And of course, I apologize, but you ran a very successful event. Would you like to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. So last Thursday, I held an event at the school where all the counselors came down to PCI so they could have some conversations with our students. And I think it was pretty successful. Lots of the counselors commented on how open they were to, or how glad they were to be able to talk to the youth in our community and see their perspective on things.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Youth Councillor Page McCullough, sorry, Youth Councillor McCullough. I just wanted, and I'm sure most council agrees, thank you so much for putting that on. We don't very often get the opportunity to speak to kids at that level and so on and kind of see where they're at. So to be able to have that connection, we really appreciate that. I know I did for one, and the baking was phenomenal. I gained 1.5 pounds. It was great. Thank you very much.
Any other? Councillor Porter?
Yep, I attended there and I really enjoyed it and really got in to talk and feel what's going on in those heads from grade 10, 11, and 12, and even some grade 9s. And very interesting conversations, and I would do that again next year if you invited us. And I think it should be a yearly thing because they change every 4 years, those people, correct? So it's kind of nice to know where you're at. But thank you.
Councillor Nichols?
Kudos. You did a wonderful job, Paige, in making sure that, number one, we felt welcome. And the way it was very, I enjoyed my 2.5 hours there. It was, like Ed mentioned to you, that generation I don't have a lot of connection with right now at this point in my generation, in my life. And I would do that again. That was very enjoyable. I challenged the kids if they didn't have a question for me, I had one for them. And it worked out very well. They responded very well. And so thank you. And your helpers. They did a great job there. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McCullough, just job well done. I think you definitely engaged the students there and your peers for sure. I've had the opportunity to meet with you on some things, so I think we know you're just getting started in your term, so lots of exciting things to come. But I do want to point out and thank all of council for taking the time out of their day to do this. I will tell you, since I've been on council for the whopping 4 years, this is the first time all council was at this event, so that's important. I think that we definitely engage with the youth in our community, so thank you all for that. Councillor Espy.
I believe that's the first time I've ever seen the entire council show up to that event.
It's awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Anything else, Paige?
No.
Thank you. Okay. Transportation Committee, Councillor Porter.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Your Worship. It seems like a lifetime ago already, but I just wanted to thank Chief Bailey and Inspector Peddle for hosting a tour of their facilities to all the council who were able to attend. Chief Bailey, I know it was a while ago, but I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do that for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. This is our last meeting of 2022. It's been an exciting couple of months as a new council. So I just wanted to, first of all, say thank you to all of our city staff and management and administration for the hard work that you've put in for this year, and especially the last few months of getting us all up to speed and working with us all. Thank you to our other managers and teams from PRED, from PCRC, coming to these meetings, etc., that we're just excited to work with you all. So I wish you a great holiday season and looking forward to 2023. And to council, we know we have exciting things happening in 2023, and enjoy your time with your family and friends. And well, I'll see you soon, but we'll have an exciting 2023. So all the best, everybody. And Councillor
Can I add one thing to that?
Sure.
I would like to thank our mayor for really generating a lot of Christmas spirit this year. Everyone's had a couple-year break from getting together, and I think you've done a really good job at bringing the community together with everything related to Christmas and the holidays. So thank you.
Thank you for the tree. Yeah. Well, okay. I don't know about any of you, but we're getting nothing but kudos for the Christmas tree this year. So it's a very exciting time, and like I tell them, we're just getting started. We have 4 years for that tree, so it's gonna just get better and better every year. So thank you, everyone, and we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:41 p.m.
Council, stick around. We have
Councillor Jill. Oh, Councillor